Well, welcome to our PD for today. We're going to be learning about a thing called Blendspace. Blendspace is a place that you can log into. It's like an account, and you can gather all kinds of online tools, documents, videos, all in one space. It's called Blendspace. The first thing that we're going to take a look at is how to set up an account. Now, you as a teacher, if you set this account up, you can kind of manage your classes through that account. Students can also set up an account and create their own Blendspace as well. So it's kind of handy. If you were a student, you would go to this website here and click on I'm a student. And once you fill in your information, and they ask for your email, of course, then this comes up right here. If I'm going too fast, just holler.
So we could use this as an activity for students. They could create a lesson and teach the rest of the class. They could all teach something else as a presentation.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I wanted to mention. I not only use this in my class for my students, and they can participate in what I'm doing, but they can also create their own, which I'll show you some examples of what some kids have done in just a second. That was part of the technology unit that I was doing. So, okay. After you click into a new lesson, this screen will come up right here. And these are your squares or your spaces that you can drop things and add things into your Blendspace. For the students, I just make it real easy and call it square 1, square 2, square 3, so they can kind of get an idea of what it is. But over on the right-hand side are all your portals, if you want to call them that, to where you can access information, documents, things like that, and add them into your Blendspace.
So that's all of the resources that you can.
Yes, and you can access your own off of your computer.
So your documents.
You can put your own documents in. You can get to your Google Drive from there. You can add internet websites, YouTube videos. There's just a whole range of different things you can actually import into Blendspace, and it's all right there in one spot. So, you know, I know a lot of times when you're presenting stuff or doing like an activity, you have to click and go here and open up different tabs and have different resources that you're showing. But this is kind of nice because it's all right there in one spot. And you kind of created sort of like a slideshow or a PowerPoint in that you go from square to square. So, you know, you would arrange your resources in the order that you present them. And it really works pretty good.
And it just reads left to right like normal?
Yeah. This is the first one, and then second, third, and it just kind of keeps going down like this. And you can add as many of these as you want. And they can...
And you just click add a slide. And then once you've created it, let's say you want to, I don't like the order. Do you just click and drag?
Yes, you click and drag, and you can swap things around.
Okay.
You can, of course, change a square. If you had a document in there you didn't like, you can switch it out for another document. Or you can just delete the square
That's what I was
altogether
going to say.
and
Do
add
you delete
another
it, and then if you want to change it, let's just say it's a text document, do you have to hit edit somewhere? Or do you just click on it? As long as you're still working in it, do you click on it just to change it?
Well, the different thing about this is, like if you import a document into here, you really can't change it. You have to go back out, change the document, and then reintroduce it into the Blendspace. So different things you can do. I usually tell the students, have your first square as a sort of an introduction into what you're doing. And with that, you can create a Google Doc as your introduction page. You can import a picture and do some writing on it. You can create a Word document if you're more comfortable with that and bring it in as your introduction. Maybe even a short video or a website. So there's a lot of different ways that you can start your Blendspace presentation. Just a couple of ways, and I'm going to share this with you guys. It's kind of a step-by-step instruction just so you'll have it. But the things that you can do, like accessing your Google Drive, it's just the symbol down here. You just click on that, and then your Google Drive files come up right here. Then you find your file that you want, say it's this one, and you can click on that, and then you just drag it to the square that you want to introduce it to. So it's really simple and it's easy, and it's a neat place to gather a lot of different stuff all in one spot to do a presentation with. If you want to upload a media file or a file from your computer, again, there's a button for it over here. You just click Browse File. So when you click that, that familiar square opens up where you can search your computer files. And then once you find it, like I introduced this picture, you just click and drag that into the square that you want. So it's pretty much the same format. Whenever you want to find something, once you find it, you just click and drag it to the square and drop it, and then it's there. So it's pretty simple.
But you can create a new, like on a PowerPoint presentation, you can create a new slide with your words.
With all your own stuff.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it's basically that, but it's a lot more interactive because if you click into a square, it could be like the kids in that project were creating a Kahoots, their own Kahoots. So they just, when they got to that square, it took them right into Kahoots, they played it, and then they came back out and it kept going in their presentation. So it just saves a lot of clicking around, and
right.
you can get it in the format that you want. So I'm just giving some examples of how you do things. If you want to do a YouTube video, that's up at the top there. You type in, you can do a search, or if you have a URL that you already have, you can cut and paste it in there. And then it comes up, say you want history of Japan, I just click and drag it to the square, and then once you get to that spot in your presentation, then the video opens up and starts playing automatically. So,
I see the link there, just like in the Google Docs. So when you click it and drag it, does that link icon pop up?
yes. Yeah, these are links, so it has a little icon. These are documents.
Okay.
So they sort of have their own little icons, so you kind of get a brief snapshot of what's there. What else? Okay, another neat feature of Blendspace is that you can set up classes and have them join. It's kind of similar to like Kahoots or Nearpod or some of these other things. And you would have the students go to the website. They would click on Join a Class. You would have a code that they would enter. They just click on Use Code, and then they would be into your Blendspace, and they can kind of go through it themselves, or you can direct them through it as the teacher. A neat thing about doing this is that they can add comments. So if you want them to respond to something, they can add a comment down here at the comment button, or if you pose a question to the class, they can answer here, and then their answers come up, and they can view each other's answers
So
as
they'll
well.
pop up on the screen, kind of like the Nearpod?
Yeah, they would just pop up here, and it'll tell you who it is that's making the comment. And if somebody wants to respond to that comment, they can add a comment just underneath it and have some dialogue and conversation, even collaboration, right there in your Blendspace program. So it's kind of a neat way for kids to sort of interact with what you're doing, make comments. If they have a question, they can pose it here, and then you can address it to them or individually as well.
So,
And this was an example I used for their project that they were doing. So they had an intro page here, and it's just a word. But one of the neat things about this is that once you enter into something like this, there's different things you can do with it, and it kind of acts like its own little website.
Right, okay.
Each square, so you can interact with it. You can scroll up and down here. This is just a map activity that they did. If they want to add a comment, I can't find where Korea is, they can pose the comment there, and it'll come up. Another neat thing about this is that you can assign it out. Like you can create a project on here and assign it out to kids, and then they can work on it on their own.
at their own pace.
At their own pace. They can respond to questions again over here that you pose as a teacher, and comment on each of the different things going on here, or they can communicate with each other if they have the same login code. So it's got some different options there.
And then I see the print icon up there, so if you have a student that's absent or doesn't have a device, do you print all the portals for them, or?
You can. Yeah, that's another option too. You can generate paper
Because on
copies.
Nearpod you can do.
So I've never done the print feature, but
Yeah.
yeah, it gives you that option to print all of your different components of whatever you have in your Blendspace. So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like live and in person. You can even put Google slideshows in there, and Kahoots. I loaded some Kahoots quiz in there, and you know, Chris, I think you introduced me to Kahoots.
That's great.
The kids love it. So you know, they can play that. Conclusion page. I just set this up so they could kind of see what they were doing and how they needed to make this. And they kind of mimicked that. They did pretty much the same thing on their own. So this is their conclusion page that they needed, listing their resources, a little logo or saying that they ran into that they liked. And they had to add their things on the back there. So I think that was the last one. If you want to exit out of this page, you just go to this X up here.
And it takes you back to the
And that, yeah, it takes it
beginning
right
of the
back.
presentation, okay.
So I've used it a few times. I'll probably use it a lot more. I have not used this to where I'm just assigning it out to the kids and saying, here, do this project.
Run with this.
But I'm thinking about using this with our South Pacific unit that we were talking about, and maybe developing something using this to just assign out to them and say, here's your project.
Right, okay.
So that's about it.
Done.
You guys got any questions?